¿Cómo será el futuro para ustedes? ¿Quién vivirá en otro estado u otro país? ¿Quién será doctor o doctora? ¿Quién será profesor o profesora? ¿Quién se casará? ¿Quién tendrá hijos? ¿Quién continuará estudiando el español? ¿Y tú? ¿Qué harás en el futuro? In English, we can express the future with two structures, either going to or will, as in I'm going to eat or I will eat. Spanish also has two ways to express the future. You have already been using the equivalent of going to with the verb ir plus a plus infinitive. Now we'll practice with the future tense that is the equivalent of will do something. The main difference between the English future tense and Spanish future tense is that the English future tense is a compound tense, using the auxiliary verb will, while the Spanish future tense is a simple one-word form in which the verb endings signal future tense. Regular verbs in the future tense are formed by adding future endings to the infinitive. As you watch these verbs form on the chart, can you describe how they're formed? Hablar. Hablaré. Hablarás. Hablará. Hablaremos. Hablaréis. Hablarán. Comer. Comeré. Comerás. Comerá. Comeremos. Comeréis. Comerán. Vivir. Viviré. Vivirás. Vivirá. Viviremos. Viviréis. Vivirán. Note that the future endings are attached directly to the end of the infinitive and not to the usual verb stem. Also, note the accent marks on all forms except nosotros. Finally, you may be relieved to see that the future endings are the same for all verbs, whether they be AR, ER, or IR verbs. As usual, some of the commonly used verbs are irregular. The irregular future verbs are formed with the same endings as all other verbs in the future, but they have irregular stems. Here is a list of some of the most common irregular verbs in the future tense. You'll hear a sentence with each verb as the conjugation appears. Decir. Te lo diré mañana. Haber. Habrá mucho tráfico a las 5. Hacer. ¿Harás ejercicio todos los días? Poder. No podremos ir al concierto el sábado. Poner. Os pondréis los abrigos si queréis salir a jugar. Querer. Querrán hablar con tus padres antes de aceptar esto. Saber. ¿Quién sabrá la dirección de Tony? Salir. Saldré bien en esta clase. Tener. ¿Cuándo tendrás tiempo para ayudarme? Venir. Todos nuestros amigos vendrán a esta fiesta. Está bien. Vamos a practicar. Let's practice. You will see and hear a series of phrases expressing the future with ir plus a plus infinitive. Change each phrase to the corresponding form of the future tense. For example, if you see voy a bailar, I'm going to dance, you would say bailaré, I will dance. Número 1. Van a comer. Did you say comerán? Excelente. Número 2. Vas a salir. Was your answer saldrás? Perfecto. Número 3. Vamos a ser. Did you say seremos? Muy bien. Número 4. Va a decir. Did you say dirá? Fantástico. Número 5. Voy a dormir. Was your answer dormiré? Magnífico. ¿Continuarás estudiando el español en segundo año? You may be wondering why there are two ways of referring to the future in Spanish. Good question. The answer is that the difference between the ir plus a plus infinitive structure and the one-word future forms is the same as the difference between saying I'm going to sleep and I will sleep in English. The main difference is that ir plus a plus infinitive is less formal, more common in spoken Spanish, and less forceful. The one-word future forms are somewhat more formal, a bit less common in spoken Spanish, and somewhat more forceful. Nos veremos!